So I wanted to say the Ravens are actually in trouble. They actually have a problem with this roster defensively. Now they're not going to have Lamar for this week, and they're saying that this is potentially a 2 to 5 week injury, which could be incredible if that happens. That's what I saw on social media today. I don't know if that's real because I thought the injury was fake so that he didn't have to play in the remainder of the game. Because if you watch the play that he got injured on, it doesn't look like he's in any pain or any discomfort at all. So I was confused on that. But if they lose him for 2 weeks, this team could be 3 or 4 games behind the Steelers by the time he comes back, and I don't love that. So then the second thing is kind of that the Steelers are kind of like the front runners in the AFC North, and it's pretty weird to think that.
Still not favored to win the division.
No, and it kind of makes sense because they are the Steelers. The defense is still kind of iffy, and do we really trust Aaron Rodgers? We've seen a couple good games now, but yeah, I think the AFC North is just weird. I don't think any team that comes out of here is going to be a Super Bowl team, even if it is the Ravens. If they make a late season push, the defense has problems and they need to figure it out. So,
yeah, Kyle, you go and then I'll close out.
Yeah, I feel a few ways about it. Like, I definitely wanted to come on here and kind of rip the Ravens. But the problem is they actually have valid excuses with their injuries on the defense. I believe they're out 7 starters right now. Who wouldn't be unsuccessful on defense with 7 starters out? What I was gonna say prior to me knowing that Lamar was gonna be out a couple weeks, I just found that out right now, or faces up to a few weeks out. I was gonna say that's both the problem and the bright side for the Ravens is that they have a valid excuse, right? The fact that it's early on in the season, the fact that they're going through all these injuries, that's a valid excuse. No shame in that, losing to the Chiefs. But the problem in that also is that it's a valid excuse. The fact that they can say, oh, we were injured. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we came in with a vanilla game plan against the Chiefs. Now you had better win if you happen to face them in the divisional round, if they even get there, right? Whatever big games you have left on the schedule, which really isn't a lot. Texans will be a big game this week, but aside from the divisional games, I don't think they have a ton of games that are like the Bills and the Chiefs have, where it just seems like they have a lot of just mainstream games, like the Lions, vice versa. They had that early. Bills were early, obviously. They kind of backed themselves into a hole where they better win after that performance on Sunday, injuries or not. To me anyway, because I was upset with how they competed. And I don't know if you guys saw this. There was one play in particular that stood out so much to me. Believe it was the second quarter. Believe at this point the Ravens are down either 10 or 13. And this was the third down where they forced an incompletion out of bounds right before Butker missed the kick. They force it out. That's a big thing because they're getting kind of ran on at this point, but they force a stop to where they're still within 2 scores. Nobody on their sideline is like pumped to come out on special teams. No one on the sidelines clapping. It just sounded super quiet on their sideline. You just don't see that out of confident championship teams. Now, if the Ravens were coming in to lose anyway, they thought, okay, we're not at our best today. Let's just try to compete. That's one thing. But if they were honestly trying to win that game and thought they had a chance regardless, I did not love the body language when stuff started going left in that game. Of course, then Lamar gets injured and then everything went south. But yeah, I don't really know what to make of the Ravens because their schedule lightens up quite a bit. If you include this Texans game, or if you want to say after this Texans game, it lightens up quite a bit. So they're going to make a run. But if they're without Lamar for 2 or 3 weeks, it gets even tougher. So that run will have to be extended, into November and December, where they could have made up some ground just this month. So that's going to be an intriguing story the entire rest of the season, I believe, especially if Lamar's out for 3 weeks. But yeah.
So the thing is, we all had the Ravens winning regardless. They came into the game with a lot of injuries. We all had the Ravens winning regardless because we thought that they were a better team than the Chiefs. And this just happens about every time they've played the Chiefs. Lamar's won once against Mahomes, and that was the 4th down run where he ended up calling his number on like the 30, like their own 35, and he ended up running and getting it. That was the only game that they've ever beat the Chiefs in. He just doesn't play well against them. They just doesn't play well against that defense. That's just how it works. He hasn't really had many, if any, good games against them. I am worried for the Ravens. They played the Texans this week, who didn't look great offensively against the Titans. I know they won 26-0, but it was like 6-0 going into the fourth. And then they play the Rams next week, and then it's a bye. So, like, realistically, especially if Lamar is out for at least 2 weeks, which could be out 2 weeks and then going to the into the bye, and then after the bye coming back, they could be 1-5. And the Steelers, they play the Cleveland Browns not this week but next week, so they could be 4-1 and then 1-5 for the Ravens. That is a very tough hole to get out of, because the Steelers have some tough stretches, but that's pretty much saying, hey, you've got to run the table, and you do have a game against Green Bay. You do have your division games, and the Steelers need to know to themselves, all they need is one game, and they might win the whole division just off of that one game alone. So I don't love the position that the Ravens have put themselves in. I don't love how they played. They did not come out. They looked timid against the Chiefs team. They really did. And I don't like that at all in a week 4 game that you need to have. I'm worried about the Ravens because I think with this Lamar injury, if it's being 2 to 3 weeks, especially if he's out for the Rams and for the Texans game this week, they could realistically be 1-5, because that defense is going to be tough. And I do trust CJ Stroud over whatever quarterback they have, Cooper Rush or Tyler Huntley or whomever it's going to be coming out. So a little worried about the Ravens. By little, I mean a lot of worried about Ravens, honestly.
One thing,
I mean, go ahead, Tim.
with the last 2 weeks now, we've kind of seen a little bit of poor play from their offensive line. Detroit sacked him 7 times. A lot of those sacks you can say were on Lamar, like where normally he makes a guy miss, he just didn't make a miss, and the Lions just never bit on any of his jukes, but 7 is still a career high. That's incredible. And then this week, that's exactly what Spagnuolo does, is he blitzes, and that's what they got after him this week too. So he can definitely look flustered in these games when they are getting to him like that. And for the last 2 or 3 years, they've never got to him like that. So that's another worry for me, even coming back. How is this line going to play in a month? Is it going to fix itself? If not, then I think we're going to see similar outcomes to a lot of these games.
And the thing is, the thing that Kyle's talked about for a while, holy moly, pause for a second, timeout. They were bases loaded, no outs, and Chapman got him out of that. Is crazy. All right, shout out to the Red Sox for that. Red Sox win 3-1. Bases loaded, none down, with Juan Carlos Stanton sitting at the plate, and you get out of that without anybody scoring is crazy. Sorry. Anyways, you have Kyle a couple years back when Kyle was adamant that the Ravens were the most talented team in the league, right? 2 years ago when they went to the AFC Championship game and they played the Chiefs. And last year, too. Most talented team in the league. He thought it was the best team in the league. And the problem you had with the Ravens in that game against the Chiefs was what? They didn't stick to their game plan.
The AFC Championship game, they just shit the bed. They didn't show up at all. They
didn't stick to their game plan offensively. They decided to go away from the run, correct?
It was a disaster all around. Yes, they went away from the game plan. Lamar didn't run, penalties, dumb penalties. They just looked unprofessional, unprepared. Everything was just bad for that team.
And then you get Derrick Henry and take away maybe the penalties, but you look pretty much the same against the worst Chiefs team this year.
Sure.
Like that's just a problem to me.
The only thing I would push back on is, you said timid. It almost seemed like they were okay with losing this game. That's where the only place I would push back is they looked laid back going into this game. This game, they looked
so
just
change
like,
timid to defeated. But regardless of that, like,
but I don't even. Yeah, to some degree.
if
'cause I
you
said that with,
go in looking late like that, you look defeated already, which is
for sure.
insane.
And that's
when you
what
have
the
Lamar
vibe seemed
Jackson.
like during the game. But I do wonder if it was like a throwaway game for them that just went all the way bad too. I don't know. It's funny, Keenan, because
That can't be a thing though. If you have the throwaway game against a Chiefs team when you are 1-2, that can't be a throwaway.
1-2 in a. No, where I'll disagree with that is in a throwaway division right now. The Bengals, their season's over. The Browns season's over. So I could see it with a healthy Lamar where you're saying, okay, all right, we get the Texans next week, Rams bye, and then after the bye, I was thinking it was a week early, but after the bye, that schedule really lines up. I agree, you can't really do that in the NFL, but in a 17-game season, we have seen it, and this team is talented enough.
You have a
but I
chance
think,
to put the Chiefs out of the not out of the playoffs, but like putting the Chiefs at 1-3.
for sure.
You obviously don't fully. I mean, and you saw the Chargers lost earlier in the game, but like that's not even like a part of it. Like, but the Chiefs at 1-3, you can get them almost not out of the way, but like now they're reeling, and now they have to win, and they have tough games coming up. They could easily be 2-6, kind of thing, if they're already at 1-3 over the.
You're not wrong.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you're right, that can't be their mindset.
You're not wrong. But I would say this about the Chiefs. We've seen the Chiefs week after week so far not be able to run at all. For them to be able to run on the Ravens, that tells you how hurt the Ravens are. That's the only excuse I'll give them out of this whole game is that defense is for sure banged up. The passing game, whatever. Xavier Worthy, that could be, that's something that could put the Chiefs over the top because that's by far the most competent the Chiefs have looked. So that's saying something about the Ravens defense right now. That's the only grace I will give the Ravens. One thing I want to say, I did the Hype is Real podcast last week on Thursday.
Shout out to you for that. That was really good.
Shouts to them. They'll be joining the show soon. Shouts to John B. Shouts to Ray. But they're both, this is funny because they're two Browns fans. They're talking about who's the most overrated team. And both of them are like the Ravens. Why do they made the points you do, Keenan? Why are they always losing to the top teams? This and that. And I'm kind of like, all right, but I still trust them over the Chiefs this coming Sunday, right? I was big on the Chiefs. I picked them by 2 touchdowns over the Chiefs this past Sunday, which was kind of insane, especially with Xavier Worthy coming back. My point being was they're super talented. They've been super talented. Eventually the ship's going to right itself. Eventually. And they looked like prophets coming out of that game on Sunday. I will say that. Getting stomped by the Chiefs like that. I'm not ready to write the Ravens off though, unless Lamar is out for 3 weeks and they go 0-3. Then okay, your season's over. But
no, I'm not writing him off. If Lamar is, if they can get through this Texans game, if they can go 1-1 even without Lamar, then they're fine. I just think at 1-5, coming off of a bye, where the Steelers, in my opinion, are most likely going to be 4-1.
If you're 1-5, you're cooked.
So that's where I'm nervous for them, and like asking a backup quarterback to go in against one of the most ferocious defenses in the league, but they could even get in at 9-8 in the wild card.
So that's what I'm saying. Even at 1-5, I could see them making a run. Honestly, this AFC is weak.
It is the top half of the AFC is strong, but like the bottom half is weak. It's so like I'm not putting it out of the question. Like they cannot absolutely make the playoffs. I'm not doing that at all. It's just the division's probably out of it. Especially if they go 1-5, and it's going to take almost perfect play, and they do have a couple other tough games towards the back half of the season. So like that's the only thing with them, and they're not gonna, because they obviously have the Steelers twice, they have the Green Bay. We'll see how New England looks at that time. Minnesota, depending on what their quarterback situation's looking like, and Chicago might have figured something out a little bit. So like they have a lighter schedule, but there are still some teams in there where it's like I don't know if I trust it. Like them just to be like a perfect 9-1 or something like that down the stretch. So they're in panic, like not panic time, but we got to get right time real soon. So
especially with the Lamar injury, I will say they've earned our respect as a regular season team. For us to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't think it's going to be a complete crater. We've even seen them do it without Lamar, where they win.
If Lamar was 100% healthy, I wouldn't even have this concern. Like if you was telling me he was coming in and he was going to be playing for it, wouldn't have this concern. They'd be fine. They make the playoffs. Without Lamar for a few weeks, possibly, that's where it scares me. I want to touch on the Chiefs on the other side real quick, and we can all give our thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
They still need to get a running back. Pacheco ran 7 times for 35 yards. Kareem Hunt was doing great in short yardage. Worthy helped give him some punch. I still think they should go trade for Kamara. But the play that let me know that everything is fine and mentally for Mahomes, which means for the most part things are fine in Chiefs land, was the play where he got the where he ran over the line of scrimmage and then tried to turn it back because he was trying to do a little bit too much. And like the thing about Mahomes that we've always talked about that made him so great is that he is such an improviser. He is a savant with the ball outside of the pocket, making plays happen, and he can just do things that other quarterbacks can't do. A lot of the time, last year, even this year, even a couple years back, it was like everything had to be so particular that like it felt late Patriot Tom Brady-ish, where Tom was like, okay, every single time I go out there on the field, I've got to make the perfect throw every single time. The thing about Mahomes was he was able to sometimes take the only good throw because he could try to make a great one and kind of improvise and have fun. That play to me was like him just going out there and trying things again. He was laughing. He knew it. He even said my bad to everybody on that drive because of that one play because they only came out with a field goal instead of a touchdown. But it just made me laugh and made me think to myself, like, okay, he feels confident again. And then he feels confident that obviously trickles down to the rest of the team. And then they start to feel confident again. They're getting Rashee Rice back. They're 2-2. Chargers lost. So now the division is not like out of reach. So I think they need to trade for Kamara, but I think that the Chiefs are going to be okay. I thought they were going to make the playoffs before. I didn't think they were going to miss the playoffs for this, but I think that he's mentally like, okay, we're okay.
I would agree that they could definitely fix their run game a little bit. But before the season, last off season, they had talked about how they wanted to open this thing up passing wise and not really be a rushing team or a one possession win the game team. They looked good through the air, and they're about to get Rashee Rice back in a couple weeks. So like it could be even better to where we don't even see the problem with their run game because they are an efficient passing team. So I don't really know if they'll make a trade. I really don't think that they'll make a trade for a running back.
They won't, but I think they still should. But they won't.
I mean,
You're
Kamara
right.
doesn't hurt them. He would make them better, no doubt. So I think the only way he hurts them is they give up a pick and they take on a big contract. Other than that, he's a good football player who would definitely improve them. But I just don't see it in the cards for them. They probably won't do it. So, but I think if they want to be a passing team in a couple weeks, they might show us that they are a passing team. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I kind of have the same feelings about the Chiefs that I did the Ravens. Like the body language stuck out to me for the Chiefs. They looked more comfortable than we've seen in a long time. And that honestly to me includes much of the last 2 seasons as far as the passing game goes. I think I'm just struggling with it because same reason with the Ravens. Like the Ravens have their warts. We saw that through the first 3 weeks, but we also saw how high powered their offense can be. Chiefs, we saw how tough their defense can be. We saw the running game isn't great. Like we saw the Chiefs' warts, but now we can see like, okay, their passing game does have some ability, but the Ravens' defense is as weak as we've ever seen it. So I truly don't know what to take away from that game other than the Chiefs looked like the championship team as far as how they carried themselves. And the Ravens, like we just said, they looked, whether it was timid, whether it was unprepared, whether it was lackadaisical, they didn't look as prepared as the Chiefs. So yeah, I don't know really what to take about this game because I'm not sure if Xavier Worthy changes that much. You know what I mean? Like he definitely is an improvement. He's definitely going to give you some deep shots down the field. He's definitely going to get open. But that much of a difference from what we saw the first 3 weeks to where this team was a Patrick Mahomes strip away from losing to the Giants. They probably lose that game if the Giants house that. A team who's honestly struggled to move. Again, this is not just this season. The past 2 seasons, this team with Xavier Worthy has struggled to move the ball. And that was as comfortable as they've looked in a long, long time. So
We'll
I
we'll
don't really
see. The Jags are coming up next, and I know the Jags
be a good game.
offensively haven't been anything that we really care about too much, but defensively they have the most takeaways in the they have the
Well,
they have the most takeaways. The defense has been playing pretty well.
Jags, man. I wish Brandon was on the show because I would love to talk about the Jags because, I mean, their offense is pretty damn explosive. They just love turning the ball over as much as they love taking it away. So,
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, it really comes down to quarterback play. Like, the quarterback plays might hinder them from doing more than what they could because Travis Etienne looks all the way back, like before, from what he was looking like last year. Obviously, you got Travis Hunter, who's a talented offensive player. Brian Thomas Jr. showed like how talented he was last year. They can obviously, as I just said, run the ball, but they can take the ball away from you. So this will be a good test too for the Chiefs, and if they're able to offensively show the confidence that they did last week, then I'll be more impressed than that. I think that was just like, sometimes you need to get those games to get the like, okay, that was almost a layup sometimes, or getting to the free throw line for the good shooter, where you're like, okay, we got to the line, we saw the ball go in the basket, it's all right, we actually can do this again. Caught a couple shots, got some threes. Steph game 3 against the Cavs, where he actually went on that little 3 barrage towards the end of the game, even though they lost this 2015 finals, actually sparked an average 27 throughout the next four games. So.
But we got a Steph reference on an NFL podcast today.
Yeah, but
take
I
mean, a shot at home.
Take a shot at home, but yes, to the back half of game 3, like those threes actually like propelled, like kind of helped. He saw the ball go in the basket, finally got into rhythm, helped him for game 5 to get 37. So sometimes you just need that. But so overall, worried about the Ravens, especially with Lamar's injury. The Chiefs, I want to see it again just to make sure, but I love the confidence that I saw from them.